Hi, it's Vernon at improvemyworld.com. We've been looking at different aspects of that brilliant Netflix film called Adolescence. We've looked at the impact of adolescence on parenting and what it means to parenting. And we've looked at it from the point of view also of managing toxic people. We now want to talk a little bit about masculinity. The film says a lot about masculinity. The little boy Jamie has grown up conditioned to think that masculinity means being rough, being tough, being strong, being physically able, being sporty, being popular. And of course, his life isn't like that at all. He doesn't like sports, even though his father would love him to. And he doesn't like the sort of things that we are conditioned to believe represent masculinity. Quite wrongly, but that's what it is. We're grown up to think that masculinity means all those things. You've got to be physically capable, physically strong. You're the protector. You're the person in charge. I mean, that's supposed to be what masculinity is. And most of societies around the world have lived with this conditioning, this idea that the male is the stronger partner, the male has to show his strength, and that is what matters if you want to call yourself a man. Of course, nothing could be further from the truth. But for this little boy, Jamie, who's actually very, very different, he likes art, he likes music, he doesn't like sports. He has a feminine side that's much more what he is and who he is. But of course, he has to repress that in the environment in which he's living. He's repressing it all the time. And when he's trying to find, well, what am I? What am I? How am I? How can I be a man? He fails to impress his father. He fails to impress his friends. He gets bullied at schools. He fails to impress his sports colleagues. And then finally, he fails to impress potential girlfriends who see in him somebody who's they think is not worthy of him, or at least the girls that he's been trying to seduce or to encourage, they are rejecting him. And then he goes on to the internet and he sees all these videos about violence against women. He sees comments saying, that's how you need to treat a woman. You need to treat her roughly. You need to be violent towards her, and you can reinforce and exert your masculinity. That's how you can become a man. And of course, in the absence of any guidance whatsoever, this goes strongly into his subconscious. He thinks the only way I can prove myself is to be violent, and to be violent against women. And this is what he's encouraged to do. And if you look at what's happening on the internet and the sort of videos that are shown, which are appalling in their misogyny, appalling in their explanations or trying to suggest that that's what women want, of course he falls for it. And it leads him to commit a terrible crime. So masculinity is not being rough, tough, strong, the protector. It's about being gentle. It's about being kind, considerate, dependable, agreeable, somebody you can count on, somebody who will back you up, who won't run away, somebody who's non-violent, who doesn't need violence. Violence is the last resort of a coward. And the coward is somebody who lacks all self-consciousness. They have no confidence in themselves. And the last resort they have, the only thing they can try and demonstrate is that they're stronger and more violent than the next one. That is not masculinity. That is not how men should behave. Repressing the feminine side, repressing the gentler side, is not the answer. On the contrary, human beings have both masculine and feminine traits. The law of gender, the universal law of gender, makes this very clear. Men must not repress their gentle side, their feminine side, And women must not allow themselves to be subjected by men. They have to have the masculine side that says, hold on, I can stand for myself, which is in fact what we're seeing more of these days, but not in every society. Many societies are still struggling with the sort of primitive view of what a man should be and what a woman should be. So this film, Adolescence, has many, many messages, and here's just another one. Have a lovely evening. Bye-bye.